But yeah, when they got KD, like when they got Rudy Gobert, sorry, that I mean they also got like Jared Vanderbilt, Pat Bev, and all of these type of players, and people are saying Pat Bev is gonna be a buy on the buyout market, right? If Utah really wanted, they could hold on to Pat Bev for a little while, and could actually get something out of him, like even if they just
Yeah.
sit him out, you know. But I guess I'll ask you this before I get into the Lakers and maybe even the Knicks, because I really want to talk about the Lakers for a second. I want to ask you, where do you think Kevin Durant is going to get traded to? And what is Kevin Durant worth now in the NBA? Now that we know Rudy Gobert is worth everyone and their dad, on top of that, 8 first round picks or some ridiculous thing. I think it was 4 or 5 first round picks. But what do you actually think KD is worth now in the NBA?
Now, the worth is where we get a little tricky, right? Because, like I
Yeah.
said, I truly think Rudy Gobert broke it before, and then with the exec saying, "Yeah, I think the market is atrocious now." I think if we're talking about picks, it's way beyond 4 picks. Like when you say 12, even though I know people exaggerate because it's like that's a lot. I almost think it comes close to that to truly because I mean you just seen last week they called Minnesota and asked for Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards and more first round picks attached to that confidently. So it's like if they think they're giving up, they by a default they would have to give up Ant, Cat, and let's say 6 first round
Yeah,
picks.
that's fair. Yep. That's what I heard
That's
too.
that is a lot. I know it's KD because I mean whoever gets them is probably going to be finals contenders or pretty close to it, or at least in a conversation of it if they don't make it. But I think KD's worth is literally like you don't really know. Like really, you just know it's high.
Mm.
It's higher. It's higher at the bare minimum. You know it's higher than four first rounds, and you know it is in terms of players. It's higher than at least 4 players for KD. At least, so you can at least say like 4 players and 5 or 6 first round picks. And it's kind of asking, will a team be willing to do that? Because 2 of those 5 players or 4 players has to be either all stars or really, really close to it. And for a team like that, it's like, why? Like they're trying to attach that with KD because you basically about to gut out your roster getting Kevin Durant. And it's like, is it really worth it at the end of the day?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're not a free agent attraction. So you're like, you're not really replacing that player that you traded for KD. So it's going to be a hard thing. Now, in terms of that second question you asked, like who is going to trade for him? Honestly, I don't know because I don't think KD's going to get traded this season. I think KD, and that's what also breaks it. KD is signs for 3 more years. Like after this season, 3 more years. Like he
Isn't it?
got a full contract.
Isn't it only one more?
Ooh,
I
for
thought it was only
KD?
one. Yeah.
No, he extended last season.
Did he?
Yeah, he extended last season.
Because I know Kyrie's only got one more.
Yeah, and then he thought Kyrie was going to end up getting extended last season, but they didn't do it, and he was supposed to get extended this season, which KD was already extended for the 4 years.
Yeah.
Which is why KD's situation gets tricky because Brooklyn doesn't have to trade him this season.
Mm.
Shoot, they don't have to trade KD next season. It's just a matter of a lot of people hoping that they would trade KD to try to get them to bully them into a deal.
Yeah.
But Brooklyn, for the first time ever, you have a top 2 talent who really has no choice in where he can go right now because he signs. Like, which is why when you talk about how many picks they can get full return for KD. This is why Brooklyn is looking for full return for KD because, I mean, he's not a 1-year rental. Even if KD decides he's going to make a list, it doesn't really matter because he's not a 1-year rental. So whatever team he gets traded to, he has to play for them. And when it gets to that CBA, a lot of these team owners is about to make sure these players don't have as much power as they had these past couple of seasons. So the dominoes is not in KD's favor right now. So the team he's gonna go on, I'm not sure. I don't think it's gonna be Phoenix. I don't think it's gonna be Miami.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be like a dark horse, small market team who just have a lot of picks. My favorite though, if it's not a small market team, I do think Golden State. That's what I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Realistically,
they have the most assets in the whole league to get KD.
They got the most assets, they got the most developed assets, and they have the most logical ones.
Yeah.
And this is where Golden State kind of came at the right time. Everybody developed at the right time. They got the right potential because they could realistically, they got the picks. They really never use their picks at all. And they got Jordan Poole that would be reasonable for them. Kuminga, James Wiseman, and etc. Like they have the young guys to give to them and the picks. And they're already a team that understand what they can do with KD if they give up those many assets because they've done it before. So I think Golden State, the number one option would be Golden State, but number two would be like those small market teams who you would have never seen coming.
Do you know that Jordan Poole has still not been extended, by the way? Are you aware of that? Which is very interesting that I feel like no one is talking about. Why is no one talking about that?
Honestly, it's crazy you say that because like a week ago, I was talking to my friend. I'm like, damn, I wonder, didn't Jordan Poole get $100 million or something? All that stuff. He was like, $100 million? When you do that? I'm like, he didn't get extended? He was like, no.
I made a video on it because they said it was like set in stone. It was going to happen. And then it was like Golden State were just like, they backed out. They like pulled out of the deal. They didn't want to, I don't know. And okay, so first of all, before I get into like the Warriors, and you said a small market team, which I think was really interesting because it so happens they said a small market team is ready to give up nearly everything today, which I'll talk about in a second. But does DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, campaign and 8 first-round picks or so, surely that gets it done. Like, surely you would think 8 first-round picks. That's 8 years. 8 years of first-round picks. That would have to get it done, right?
You can get it done. Unfortunately, Phoenix they would have to wait till like December or January to even truly discuss it. Well, if they wanted to accept
it. Ayton also, to the extended, has a clause in his contract, I think, that allows him not to get traded until like, I think very early on the season, which it seems very odd that the Suns did jump into that. I don't feel like, I mean, I know Indiana were offering him that deal, but damn, Phoenix really got stuffed over, didn't they? Maybe they didn't jump into it too early because I guess Indiana were, they had no choice. Deal. Yeah, they had no choice at the end of the day.
They had no. That's what I was telling people. Yeah. I'm like, y'all realize, like, because I know a lot of people saying DA is gonna leave. I'm like, Suns is not letting DA walk for free. Like, even if it's as simple as a signing trade, they're not letting a restricted free agent leave. Like the last time we seen something close to that was Zach LaVine 4 years ago. He tried to go to Sacramento, and Chicago was like, no, you're coming back here. Like, that's not going to happen.
I mean, obviously it's not going to happen because you don't want Bismack Biyombo as your starting center, right? Like, you kind of want to stay away from that. I wonder what Indiana were trying to do there. Like, because they still had Miles Turner and all these other players contracted, like Goga Bitadze, all these other big men, Jalen Smith, I think they brought in as well. So many of these guys, and they just like randomly threw DeAndre Ayton a mega 4-year, $100 billion deal. I don't know what, that was kind of out of pocket, but the team that they said were interested. Now, I can't remember who reported on this. I'm not even going to check because, like, I don't think this is going to happen anyway. But they said the Washington Wizards were the small market team that had inquired about Kevin Durant the most recently. And it got me thinking, Rui Hachimura, Danny Avdia, Corey Kispert, a couple other players maybe, 8 first-round picks or something. You'd think Brooklyn would look at that. But then, like, if you're the Wizards, though, oh, man, I don't know. Kristaps, Kuzma, Bradley Beal. Oh, you'd have to throw in Johnny Davis as well into that deal. You got like you could have Kuzma, Bradley. You'd have Kuzma, Bradley Beal, and Kristaps and KD, and like no one else. It'd be a weird team.
Yeah, you would literally have to give up the entire roster. Because honestly, and even then, I still don't even think Brooklyn would say yeah to that.
Yeah.
Like, especially if they just asked for Anthony Edwards and Cat. And then they just told Phoenix, if you want KD, you want Devin Booker. Like, like, do you understand the mindset of Brooklyn right now? Like, that means if Kuzma was a lot more, like if Kuzma, that means Kuzma would have to be averaging like, let's say like 20 plus, and Denny would have to be averaging 20 plus, and then they'd probably be like, all right, we want him.
Yeah, and then we want him.
Just to think about, you know how crazy that is. So they would literally, so for Brooklyn, if they were to take all those players you just named, they feel like their mindset is they would have to be compensated in more first round picks, which a lot of teams don't have. And I think they said Miami was actually trying to acquire more picks.
Yeah, they did
for the deal.